And we can't wait either deck. Tom Cousins ready and raring, but it's Declan Brennan who gets first poke in the first frame of the evening. 20 minutes are set up on the set clock. And it's a race to 4. That will win you the first set. It's a best of 2, which for maths fans doesn't really work out, but that's where the 6 red shootout comes in. If we are level after 2 sets, we will go to the 6 red shootout. The sets can also be halved. That happens if we are level at the end of 20 minutes.
Big first chance here for Declan, really is, because he knows who he's playing, and I know he's got a great record, but you've got to start well. He knows the standard will be high tonight, and he's got an opportunity here, but it's far from a good one. Careful not to push the 8 ball too far into the cluster, so he must be happy. Yeah, just looking at the plant there, he must be happy that plant's on. And the plant will send the yellow to the sort of middle of the bottom cushion or towards the right-hand side if he hits it firmer. So there's some connections in there. And of course the 8 ball still now goes to the bottom left. So this is sort of not too bad. He's kind of working it well here.
He's a super clever player. Absolutely one of the elite. And I think we've got 3 of that sort of, probably what you consider maybe the top 5. Always tough to say, but they're right up there in the rankings, and plenty would have Declan Brennan in that class of player. Canny shot that he's played there.
I'm with you there. I think Declan, obviously rankings-wise, and maybe a little bit lower than Chris and Tom, only just, but we're sort of waiting for him to sort of have that breakthrough again, if you like. It's been a little while since he's won with Ultimate Pool. I know he's the reigning WPF World Masters champion, beating Tom, but he wants to win on this stage again, and I think when he does, and he will, he absolutely will, and it could be tonight, you feel like he could go and start winning a bunch. He is a player that, when you watch him play and play the level he can play at, you think he can really go on a run where he can, you know, put a bunch of tournaments together and get himself, you know, almost rivaling, you know, the top of the rankings.
How good has this finish been, by the way?
I mean, every chance this, if he gets out here, this could be the finish of the night. I mean, we're frame 1. This is ridiculous if he gets out here, the standard. And he's made it look easy as well. He hasn't had to play anything tough, anything tricky. It's just about picking it off and nudging him into position. Absolutely fabulous visit.
That's some standard for the first frame of the night.
The way Declan sees his patterns and finishes, I just think is exceptional. You know, I've spent a lot of time filming content with him, and he just sees an unbelievable game. How about that for a big break to start with?
Well, Tom Cousins threatened that he might cut break tonight if his first break didn't work out for him. I think he will stick with the old faithful as Top Cat wields the boomstick.
Yeah, power like that is reserved for only a few. Huge break. TC has a completely different level of chance here to get going. Declan's was fiddly. It was all about that cue ball and nudging balls into play and being clever. Tom's is just hold yourself straight here and you're out. It's a beautiful opening chance for Tom. Just want to make sure you get past the straight. You don't want to leave that high angle. So you don't have to play around with the bottom cushion of the yellow, which he's done. He's got a nice little angle just to stun into play. Oh, a touch straight than I first thought, but it's still fine. He's got all the room in the world. Say this feels like the way they ended up at the World Masters final in Morocco last year. 10-8 it was to Declan, but it was the highest quality match you will ever see.
Yeah, it was fabulous, wasn't it? And this is a very, very different match. Let's get it twisted.
Yeah, and people talk about it that, you know, it's a volatile format because it's races to 4 and obviously group formats up to the semi-final, but the best players in the world deal with the pressure moments better than anybody else. That's why they're the best players in the world, so it's absolutely no surprise to me at all.
A very tidy Declan Brennan break, and he can get to work here.
It was a much better layout for Declan this time. The last one was tough. This time it's expected. It's probably not quite as easy as Tom's was, but it's not too far away, in all honesty. Worth pointing out that the two met fairly recently in a semi-final. That was in the British Open. Tom got the better of Declan on that occasion. That was the first time that Tom's actually got the better of Declan in an ultimate pool event. Out of the 4 times they played, Declan won the first 3. Not many have a record like that against Tom.
Talks in the interview with Declan. You know, does he see himself as a big game player? And he was quite honest with his interview, with his answer, sorry, to that question. He said, you know, sometimes it doesn't always work out like that, but I think it's safe to say he does enjoy the big stage, and tonight is certainly a big stage. We saw the best Declan Brennan we've seen with Ultimate Pool in that Masters final, and that was played in front of a real atmosphere in Morocco. Fair few watching that one. Felt like a big game and had that big match feel, and we saw the best of both.
I don't really agree, though. I don't see Declan as a big match player. Of course he is a big match player, but what I mean is he's just a brilliant player. And yes, we can look at slightly barren spell in ultimate pool terms, obviously WPF World Masters aside of titles, but he is just one of the best players in the world, and you don't see him play badly too often.
So far, perfect. 3 frames, all have been broke and run.
Hasn't yet won on the Monday night shows, which is in my opinion, sort of biggest stage, if you like. Make a case for the Champions League. Could be the most prestigious tournament in a strange way. Semi-finals, the best he's managed a couple of years ago.
I think a big part of that has been a little bit to do with his attitude towards the tournament, really.
Yeah, not Reds nominated.
I just heard
extension call.
Referee there just announcing Reds are nominated. One of those quirks of the rules. When it looks tight and you're not sure what the player's playing, it is important the player nominates. It's one of the few times that there is anything that you kind of have to worry about in that regard, but you could see how close he had to get to the yellow there to play the red, so it's just important that the ref knows. And you know, because he could have been playing the yellow to play the loss of turn and leaving the cue ball in the bottom right corner. Of course he wasn't, not with a layout like this, but just worth getting that bit right. Much trickier layout than his first.
No nonsense, Scott Price in charge of things, and he doesn't miss anything. Nice to see Scott out there for the final. Should just offer our congratulations, our usual Champions League referee, Orich Tezgel, not here tonight. And his lovely partner had a new arrival at the back end of last week, so we all offer our congratulations to Orich. It's probably a little bit too early to get back on the horse in terms of the refereeing, so we'll let him off.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic news. I think Tom wants to come, obviously bottom left. It's a slightly awkward angle because he can't really get the cue ball out. So may just kind of end up leaving the cue ball on the cushion, which could put himself in trouble on the next positional shot. because he kind of wants to just pop the cue ball back a fraction. He has left himself on the cushion. I suppose if he takes the bottom one, does he leave himself too much angle on the fight, or the next red into the right centre? It's a little trickier than it looks here. Drifts past the 8 ball, gone just a turn too far. Absolutely straight would have been better because he can drop it in and pick the gap. Now he's going into the 8 ball, so does need to be careful and make sure he gets that good contact on the 8 ball here, and he's going to be knocking it potentially dangerously close to the centre pocket as well.
Yeah, he doesn't love it.
No, I don't blame him.
Understand why, yeah, really can. He's got to be careful. Judge that well. This now requires another very, very good shot, because that 8 ball has gone tied to the cushion. The angle is left on his final red is awkward. May well have to settle for a double. Is the double on? I'm not sure it is. He's got work.
If the double is on, it's not much. See there, the yellow's very much in the way, or very close to being in the way. Might have half a pocket. Not sure whether he was trying to catch the yellow thinner and sort of knock the cue ball up towards the break line where he'd give himself a shot down the cushion. Because from here it was always going to be an awkward back double, or a tricky double to the corner, or a very thin cut.
Yeah, how do you like these? First set may come down to this. That's the margins tonight. He's looking at the cup, I think. No, it is the double, and he's short.
They are tough to judge. And you're right, this could be the margin for this first set. That's the standard we're talking about tonight with these players.
Declan Brennan smells blood. E2 has been a busy boy of late. All Ireland Championships were taking place over the bank holiday weekend just gone. Declan was the defending champion, ran through to the quarterfinals, but his county down teammates took down a title without him. He was missing for the final day as he had to make his way over to the Champions League. I'm sure his teammates are all watching on supporting tonight. Should just offer our congratulations to Ultimate Pool Pro Stevie Dempsey, taking down his 4th Irish title.
Titles continue to flow for Stevie, don't they? Getting some good hands at the top, isn't it? So many good players. Declan's been ultra careful here with his counter clearance. I expected him to sort of flow through it. I know that clearing up using the clock is to his advantage, but it almost feels like he's kind of searching a little bit because he knows how important this visit is. He's still in absolutely perfect shape. It's just, I don't know, it feels a little bit more workmanlike than I was expecting.
On the rail he is, but realistically he'd be using the top of the cue ball anyway, shouldn't be a problem. He's got an angle to track down. Not as much as he probably would have liked though.
Yeah, he missed or he made the pot to top left a little thin and just left himself a bit awkward there. I mean, it's still not an 8 ball he's going to worry about, but I'm with you, he wanted to get down a bit more.
Cue ball is fine, and Declan Brennan is 2 frames clear. 3 minutes 48 remaining on the set clock. Starting to come a little bit for him though. He reached a Pro Series final earlier this year.
Yeah, I think it really is only a matter of time. It really is. He's absolutely too good. And I think when he does have a breakthrough, and tonight might be the night, that you know, I do think it could spur him on, and it wouldn't shock me to see him,
Extension call.
you know, top 4 in the rankings come the end of the year if he was to break through tonight.
Would be a good time to go on a bit of a run,
Oh,
because
yeah.
we have got a busy summer coming up. World Championships around the corner, less than a month to go. Ultimate Pool Series event just before that too. Masters and European Open all coming up
Red balls in play.
over the course of a very busy summer of pool. And Declan Brennan will absolutely be a man who is wanting to get as big a piece of that as he can. Play position, that red there, it's a lovely bit of work, because that cue ball was tough to control.
Yeah, you could see him asking for it just to pull up. He didn't want to be hampered queuing, because this is the only shot that really could go wrong. He just needs to pop it back out, which wasn't a problem because he wasn't hampered. If he was hampered, it could have become a real problem for him. And this is, well, 4 pots away from the perfect set, isn't it? 4 visits to the table.
Just love the way that he's going to bounce it. He's been clinical, he's been faultless, absolutely faultless. He's struggling to even pick out a shot that he was slightly out of position on. It's not just that he's taken every chance, he's been perfect in doing so. If Tom Cousins is to win this semi-final, the only way he's going to do it is via a 6 red shootout, because Declan Brennan goes 1 set in front and he's halfway to his target. What a start from Declan the Destroyer. Second set coming up. Second set about to get underway. Tom Cousins didn't do a huge amount wrong in the first. Oh, how'd you like that?
One hand from ball. Time running.
But one mistake cost TC the first set. He finds himself 1-0 down to Declan Brennan. He knows the only way through is via a 6 red shootout, and that is how it's starting. Oh, that's about as tough ending off as you could ever wish to see.
Especially when the stakes are so high and the standard is so high at in-off. It's tough to take. And, well, whilst the opening chance that Declan took out on the opening set felt like it set the tone because it was the best finish in the set, an opportunity to set the tone here in set 2, because this is a better layout but not an absolute certain layout as well.
Yeah, balls in play.
Decided not to nudge open the red and yellow together there. So does that tell us that he feels comfortable with it? Doesn't look like it's on anywhere. It looks like it does need a little nudge. Okay, so he's looking at the plant down the table. I felt like he had an opportunity with cue in hand. Could he have not given himself an angle just to play a little cannon into the red, perhaps? I suppose maybe he's worried about putting the yellow on the cushion, which would be no good. There isn't much of the yellow showing from here, so he's sort of playing quarter ball on the yellow over the pocket here. Means the yellow he's playing comes into the middle of the sort of bottom end of the table, but he does have to be precise on this shot. Yeah, there wasn't much. That was the perfect angle to see it. There just wasn't much yellow showing. And also, when you look at it again, you realise that he's too straight on this. I mean, if he just makes the plant and the cue ball stays to the right-hand side of that red, he's not good on the next yellow as well. He wanted to get past the red to be able to play the yellow down the table. And only other shot he'd have had if he stays behind the red is the yellow top left, and it would have been thin and tough to connect up to the next ball. So
Extension called.
maybe more of a decisional error than an execution error on this occasion for Declan.
But an error all the same. They currently 1-1 on that particular count. Tom Gurney felt they just potted to give himself some time.
Yeah, because Deck took the colour set, not absolutely certain here, and a tough counter for Tom.
Well, that was a rare instance of what I believe was a little bit of a hit, no.
I think there was some thought in that, but Also, he knew it
Yeah,
wasn't
sure, not a true hit and hope.
not a
yeah.
true hit and hope. But I'm with you. I mean, he's
It's more in hope than expectation to come out nicely.
really delicate loss of turn. He needs the red not to get out the way of the yellow. Has to keep this red in front of the yellow. Yeah, he's done well. Because he would have risked, if the red goes too far to the right and he leaves the yellow on to left centre, he's given the frame up. So that was a much better shot than it looked. Worth pointing out that Tom's been here before when he made the Champions League semi-final 2 years ago. He was a set down to Stevie Dempsey. He managed to get that second set on the board and take it to the 6 red. Ultimately came up short in the 6 red shootout, but did get himself back into the match. Interesting, that one from Declan. Was he trying to go game there, or was he just using the jaw to keep himself in a safe-ish position? It would be a well thought out shot if he was using the jaw just to hold the yellow and get the cue ball where he wanted to.
Yeah.
He may well have been going and just missed the pot, but he would have been putting a lot onto the final shot, because he would have had to pop 2 yellows before he could play the breakout shot.
That was definitely full-blooded though.
And that probably tells us that he was trying to go previously, so you're going to put it down to 2 missed pots on the trot from Declan. He's just gone off the boil from the first set, just a touch. How much room for that red at the bottom? So yeah, not much. Needs to make sure he gets this cannon right. Like that. Top side of the yellow. Doesn't want to make sure he gets the full ball or just underneath the full ball. He sticks to the red. So nice control. Ideal world, you'd never leave the red at the top of the table. But the way these were set out, it was always going to be.
Work, but well controlled. Tom Cousins goes 1-0 up in the second set.
Yeah, and I can get on board with people starting to put Tom Cousins in that best player ever bracket. There's a lot of good players from the golden era, Chris Melling included. But what Tom's achieved, obviously 2 world titles being the headline, but what he's achieved with Ultimate Pool is incredible. No doubt about it. Right now, he's the best player in the world. He absolutely deserves to be in that conversation of all time as well.
Break, he's definitely taking some power off it. I had to catch up with Deck in practice earlier on, and he was absolutely sledging the break. But as he often does, he fiddles and tinkers a little bit with how he's feeling on a particular day.
He also spent a lot of time on the break in his practice. I did watch his practice from afar, actually, and he put a lot of his 15-20 minutes that all the players get onto the break itself, just trying to find what works, what doesn't work, what's the right way to go to tonight. He certainly found it, because he's hit 4 breaks tonight and they've all been fabulous.
Yeah, but they've been noticeably power off, which sometimes has been the way on this table. Conditions, as always, here, and players in Newcastle on the line, absolutely pristine.
And the good news for Declan here, and maybe a touch straight on this one, putting pressure on the next pot, but the good news for Declan, he made 3 mistakes in the last frame. but it was on a Tom Cousins break, and it's cost him a Tom Cousins break frame, if you like, and that doesn't do as much damage as if you'd done it on your own break. Obviously puts a lot of importance on him getting out here, though, and as I thought, he was a touch straight previously, and that means he's under pressure here. Not just the pot, got to get the cue ball right as well, which isn't easy. Cue ball's definitely tougher than the pot. Away. The problem is the thinner he pots that, so the closer he gets to the potting angle, the lower down the table he's going to hit the cushion, and he might not get onto the red. He missed it on the straight side, which is why he actually would have been perfect on his final red had the red not nudged it out of the way, but he missed the pot by 6 inches. If he gets the potting angle, he's probably a lot closer to going into the red than he is being on it.
I think it would be overstating it. Say it's starting to unravel for Declan Brennan. There's still every chance that he wins this game, but it's far from ideal how this set has started for him. All any player who plays in the short format wants is the opportunity. Some don't get it. Players have come and gone in this tournament. 64 when we started, 4 remaining. And of the 60 that haven't made it to this stage, plenty of them will say, well, I just didn't get the chance to win. That's just sometimes how it goes.
Also sometimes not true.
Well,
knowing pool players.
Well, yeah, you know, you can say that as a as a former pool player.
I have
yourself.
been involved in those conversations.
Yeah, I've just got to report what I hear. But yeah, there are plenty who will say it, and there's slightly fewer who can actually mean it. But yeah, absolutely. But to my point, all the players want is the opportunity to win.
Yeah.
And Declan Brennan has had that in this set. He's had a chance at both frames, and he has to put the idea of I should be 2-0 up away out of the back of his mind, because Tom Cousins is about to be 2-0 up.
You've also got to try and tell yourself that the draw's good for Declan. So yes, 2-0 behind, but if you can somehow get back on level terms, it's not the end of the world.
Safe. What a split. What a split to leave here. This is what happens with Tom's break a lot. He has as much power as anybody else. His cue ball control in terms of breaks is probably better than most, probably not the very, very best. But the unquantifiable thing that you can say about Tom Cousins' break in terms of calling it one of the best in the world is the finishes he tends to leave off them. You can't really say why. They just seem to split and go on, oh, pop me.
Yeah, they certainly have here. I think Tom took a little bit off that break compared to his first couple. The other thing with that is, and I agree with you, Tom has so much power that he does leave himself a lot of really good splits, but also what you can miss is that Tom is one of the absolute best at doing his work in the first shot or two. So if you're casually watching Tom Cousins and you see him with 5 balls left and they're all sitting there, you might have missed the work he'd done on the first shot, because he is one of the absolute best at that. So that is not a good shot from Tom Cousins. Obviously still on balls down the table, but needed to get rid of the one at the top out of the way, so he's going to have to reset here and work his way back up to the top of the table. Hope, I guess, for Declan. Prime example about what I'm talking about with Tom Cousins. Yes, I know it's not the first shot after the break, but I think some players in that situation might have potted the one he's just potted and then the one along the bottom cushion and would have left the one at the top of the table, whereas Tom identifies this one at the top of the table as his biggest problem on the table, and he wants to deal with it first. That doesn't feel the best of shots from Tom. I feel like you don't really want to be playing the one nearest the 8-ball here because it's off angle. You may have to come across the right-hand side, then the one along the bottom. He's going to hold and then come for the one at the bottom. He wanted to be the other side of straight there for me, just or on the straight. He's held that really well. Yeah, recovers the situation. Red plays quite big here if he tries to get on this 8-ball to the centre pocket. Might pay just to knock it in and leave the 8-ball long. See how he's feeling. Just play for it for the centre, but no issues with the red.
Cousins is one frame away from forcing a 6-red shootout.
When you play in as many matches as Tom does, and you're deep in matches as Tom is, you're going to be involved in a lot of them, and I think he's just got himself to a pretty comfortable position that he accepts he's going to have to play a few.
Well, odds on now.
Oh, very much so. First try break from Declan.
Extension called.
Declan actually has a much worse record at the 6-red shootout than Tom does in terms of just the win-loss record. Declan's been in more, he's been in a lot. But one thing to factor in with Dec is that his average time is actually still pretty good. Very rarely puts in a slow time, so he won't be fearful of the 6-red, and he's also won his last few as well.
They both had their moments with it, haven't they?
Yeah.
It's something that I spoke with Dec about before. It's not a position that he really loves being in, but you just have to trust the process. Put in your time and hope that your opponent doesn't beat it. He got that bit of run against Christophe Lambert in the last 16 in this year's Champions League. It was like when the Declan Brennan 6-red luck started to turn.
It was back-to-back, wasn't it, against Christophe? They played in the British Open, then they played in the Champions League back-to-back, and he won both of them in the 6-red. Tom's come through a 6-red in this year's Champions League as well. Did that in, well, the very first week of the tournament, didn't he? Carl
Time ago now, yeah. Tidy last frame this from Tom Cousins. He looks very sharp indeed at this stage. Probably, I think, actually, when Tom went 3-0 up, Declan will have just been stealing himself for the 6-red shootout.
I'm with you there. It's one of those situations where Declan has known for a while that we're going to go, or more likely to go there, so it's not like you've just lost from the final frame being stolen away from you, so I don't think it's going to be massively deflating.
To a 6-red shootout we go then. Tom Cousins wins the second set, 4 frames to 0. And our first Champions League finalist will be decided by way of 6-red shootout. 6 red balls. Cue ball and object ball must be stationary. The rest can still be moving if they are needed, and that is exactly what happened there. But Declan is now away, and now into his visit. 2 balls on the bottom cushion are a problem.
It was a really horrible layout for him. They didn't open, and if he gets somewhere mid-25, mid-20s, it's brilliant.
It's not bad, you know. It's really not bad. Doesn't want to foul and doesn't. It's 25-ish. We'll get the confirmed time for you in just a minute. That is a mere guide. Declan will be disappointed, but he's done very, very well from where he was. There is the time to beat. Top cat looking for a spot in the final. Well, that's a disastrous start, and now he has to go again. Not over yet, but hope for Declan Brennan. Quickest I've ever seen Tom Cousins move. This is tight. This is really, really tight. This will do it, and he's missed. Incredible. Tom Cousins falls at the semi-final stage, and Declan Brennan's 6-red shootout run continues by the skin of his teeth. The Destroyer is into the Champions League final.